Seizure and confiscation under GST. A situation of seizure and confiscation of goods under the place of business. GST 67 into section 130. Inspection is carried out on the business premises of the taxable person, transporter, warehouse operator. If any unaccounted goods are found, such goods are liable for confiscation. Seizure and section 67. Seizure of goods, transfer of seizure from the place of business. Seizure order of seizure of goods document shall be possessed. Option 1. Pay the appropriate amounts and set and release. Pay applicable tax and penalty section 121. Good shall be released. All the proceedings in the respect shall be deemed concluded. Option 2. Furnish a security against provisional release. The provisional release of the goods are executed in the bonds covered under the value goods. Confiscation, transfer of ownership bid section 132. The tax and penalties payable under section 122(1) along with the remuneration fine. If fine option is not opted, confiscation in goods shall be disposed of. Confiscation order plus redemption option. Option to redeem the goods to paying the fine with 3 months. Redemption of fines in the case of goods. Maximum redemption fine is equal to market value of goods minus taxable charge. Redemption of fine is in case of conveyance to the owner of conveyance. Tax payable to the goods transportation thereon. Seizure order under the Transfer section 68 read with section 128. Situation 2 168. Conveyance of carrying goods are intercepted by the proper officer of inspection in transit. If the transporter was found transporting or storing such goods which are removed in contravention or provision of the act, such goods and conveyance are liable for confiscation. Seizure in section 129. Seizure of goods transferred of the possession of to department transfer in transit. Seizure order penalty payable for the release goods. Notice within the 7 days of verification of conveyance specifying below for penalty order sections within 7 days of the service of notice after giving opportunity being heard upon payment of penalty within 15 days of receipt of the order. On the proceeding respector shall be deemed to be concluded. The said period 15 days shall be reduced in the case of punishable goods. Perishable goods. The owner of the goods comes forward to claim release. Taxable goods is equal to penalty is equal to 100% of tax payable. Exempted goods 2% actual value 25,000 whichever is lower. Release of the exemption conveyance penalty is equal to penalty of release of goods up to 1 lakh whichever is lower. Owner of goods not coming forward to claim the release transport may pay penalty. Taxable goods penalty is equal to 200 times of the taxable payable, that is 50% of the value of value whichever is lower. Exempt goods 5% of the value of goods or 25,000 whichever is lower. Release conveyance penalty is equal to penalty of release of goods or 1 lakh whichever is lower. Recovery of penalty, the release of the goods and conveyance retains or seizure of the transit section 144A. When the person transport any goods or owner of the goods fails to pay the amount penalty section 129, within 15 days from the date of receipt, a copy of the order, proper officer shall proceed to sale and dispose of the goods and conveyance through the process of auction. Such a period of 15 days can be reduced if the goods are perishable and hazardous in nature and likely to be depreciation value of passage of time. In disposal of the proceeds of sale of the goods and conveyance of movable and immovable property. Appropriate against administration cost to recovering process. Appropriate against amount to be recovered on to be or payable amount payment to penalty under section 129. Balance amount shall be credited to electronic cash ledger of the owner of the goods and conveyance if they are registered. If else, it shall be credited to the bank account. If the bank balance of the cash sale proceed cannot be paid within 6 months of the date of sale, it shall be deposited in the customer's welfare fund. Offence and penalties under GST. Types and offence penalty section 122. Below successive offences of bio discredited SFT taxable person 10,000 taxable ITC involved in higher. Section 122,000 who is beneficial invoice by credit offences 122(1). Books about of default, non-maintenance 10,000, enforces invoice default, supply without invoice, supply incorrect invoice, supply without invoice 10,000 default, obstruction of officer on the doing duty 10,000 default, dealing with the goods liable for confiscation 10,000 default, input service distributor default 10,000, supply with the GST with another person 10,000 default, collection of tax on deposit 3 months 10,000 default, collection of amount of tax and not deposit 3 months 10,000 default, registration related default, non-registration given false information registration 10,000 default, erroneous refund, 10,000 default. Disposal of goods with detection, seizure and operational default, ITC default, 10,000. Tampering with material evidence, 10,000. Suppression of turnover, 10,000. DTS, TCS default, 10,000. Failure to furnish information document, 10,000. Transport default, 10,000. Person section 122, 128 person is beneficial of invoice default and ITC default, ISD defaults, tax rebate and ITC involved and passed on. Section 122 or note 122 part 2, 122 1 and 122 are mutually exclusive. Other than the fraud, etc., on account of demand notice section 73 registered person 10,000, 10% of the tax or ITC involved, whichever is higher. Fraud, etc., on the case of demand order section 74 registered person 10,000 ITC involved or higher. Section 120 offense, which a person is not directly involved in any evasion but maybe part evasion if does not submit the summons and produce documents any person. Section 20,000 pay 25,000 pay. 100% fails to furnish information. 150, section 150, 90 days from the date of notice. 100 per day, from 100 per day failure per year and subject to maximum 5,000. Section 150 empowers the judicial commissioner office authorized by the seek a judicial person form of filing information. 124, any person required to furnish any information. Section 151 fail to do so. Section 151 empowers the judicial commissioner to call for information for any of the person relating to the matter relative to the connection of the act. Normal cases up to 10,000 continuing offense and 100 per day failure to pay a maximum 25,000. In section 120, information obtained in section 150 and 151 cannot be used without giving opportunity of being heard of the person concerned. General penalty 25,000. No penalty of minor offences amounting of ITA tax and ITC involved less than 5,000 or which is easily rectified when made without the fraudulent intent and gross negligence. Application section 122, 3, 124, 125. When the PO of the view that act that a person is liable of penalty and same is not covered under the proceeding, he may be leave the penalty for given reasonable opportunity of being heard. Government may be notified view the part of full and penalty leave for section 122, 134, 145, 25 and late fees or delay return of fines for the class of taxpayers notified. Obviously engage in the act willfully disclosure of any information or continue content of the return of otherwise. Then the execute of the business up to 25,000 or imprisoned up to 6 months, which are both. Okay. Non-bailable offences with arrest invoice. Offences involve section 122. Default invoice, ITC default, collection amount of tax not paid, any other offences. Evasion of tax is less than 2 crores but greater than 5 crores. Greater than 2 crores but less than 5 crores. Tax evasion is less than 5 crores. Then are there any other offences? Then non-cognitive. Yes, if tax evasion is greater than 2 crores but and less than 5 crores, evasion of tax is greater than 5 crores. Non-cognizable bail, arrest to be made, and ACDC will give bail note if the bail is not taken forward to be custody of magistrate, imprisoned up to 3 years and fined up to 6 months. Same thing, cognizable, non-bailable. Arrest can be made in cognizable and non-bailable. Inform ground of arrest and procedure before magistrate 24 hours, imprisoned up to 25 years and fine up to 6 months. And the evasion of turnover more than 5 crores. In the case of other cases, in the case of invoice default, any other cases, non-cognizable plus bailable, same thing. Cognizable is non-cognizable, non-bailable. Cognizable and bailable. Arrest cannot be made. Imprisoned up to 3 years and fine of 6 months. Non-cognizable and bailable, and arrest cannot be made in imprisonment of 5 years and fine up to 6 months. Imprisonment section bio discourage and minus ISRD. Okay. Attempt to commit an abate commission. ISD default, supply with GST with other person registered, related to default, non registered and giving false information for registration. Disposal of goods while detention, seizure and operation, separation of turnover, TDS and TCS default, and transport of related transport. Collect tax but not paid in 3 months is not offence, but imprisonment will collect the amount of tax as not paid within 3 months and offence of imprisonment. Offences, tax, ITC refund involved, first time imprisonment, subsequent imprisonment. Books of account default, obstruction officer of doing a duty, tampering materials, not applicable, up to 6 months, both fine, maximum 6 months and maximum 5 years imprisonment subsequent. Other offences less than 1 crore, greater than 1 crore, 6 months and maximum 1 year fine, greater than 2 crores, 6 months and 3 years, maximum 3 years plus fine, 5 crores plus 6 months plus 5 years plus fine. Maximum 6 months, maximum 5 years plus fine is also available. Compounding offenses section 138. Section 138 deals with the compounding offenses under GST and provision of the same summarized here. And any offenses under the Act can be compounded by the Commissioner. Compounding offenses can be done either before or after the institution of proceeding. Compounding offenses can be done only in the payment of compounding amount. Compounding of offense not possible first time and under circumstances. Any person who was convicted under the offence of the CGST Act of Code, any person who make a blamed of commitment of offences as the CGST Act, which is also offence under any other law of time being force. Any person who has been blamed for commitment of offence by way of obstruction of office from the doing duty and tampering of material evidence, and failed to supply information and supply of false information. Compounding of offence is not possible. Subsequent time and under circumstances. Invoice default, ITC default, collector amount of tax not paid in 3 months, erroneous refund, books of accounts default, any funds other than above respect of supplies value more than 1 crore. Compounding amount. Minimum amount payable under the compounding offense higher than the following: 50% of tax involved and maximum amount payable under the compounding offense higher than following: 150 of the tax involved are on 30,000. Advanced ruling applicable to section 95 to 104 of the GST Act, particular advanced ruling act. At the advanced ruling authority status possible of the difference in opinion among the members in such a situation, application shall be referred to advanced authority of advanced ruling. Geographical state level authority. There is no central authority, separate AAR of each state. Budget shall be made priority to carrying out the activity in respect of ongoing activity registered under adjustable fees 5,000 plus 5,000. Withdrawal application no express provision. Time limit for bonds 90 days from the date of application. Eligible supply, classification, valuation, registration, tax liability determination, type of supply, input tax credit, applicable notification. Same ineligible questions, place of supply, return, payment process, penalty, appeal. Rejection of application is a matter of pending in or decided by any court or tribunal. Authority name AAR, appellant authority of advanced ruling. Possibility of difference in opinion among the members in such a situation, it shall be deemed to be advanced ruling. It's not possible in the issue. Geographical state level authority, separate AAR in each state. Limit 30 days plus 30 days. Fees 10,000 CGST, 10,000 SGST. Time limit for pronunciation 90 days from the date of application. Demand recovery under GST. Reason for issuing the SEN. On payment, short payment, wrong availment of utilization, ITC, errors, refund on account of fraud, collusion, willful misstatement, or suppression of fact, contravention with the instant of repeat. Other reason applicable: 74 GST, 73 CGST. Time limit of issuance at least 6 months from the due date of passing adjusting authority, at least 3 months from the due date of passing adjudicating authority. Time limit of passing 5 years from the due date of filing annual return for the relevant financial year, 5 years from the date of errors refund, 3 years from the date of filing annual return of the relevant financial year, 3 years from the date of errors refund. Whether supplement notice issued, yes, non same ground, yes, same ground. Amount ordered, tax plus interest plus penalty, tax plus interest penalty. Amount penalty 100% of tax, ITC refund, and 10,000 which was higher. So amount of penalty 10,000 taxes, ITC refund 10,000 which was higher. If the paid before SEN 15% original, no penalty. If paid after SEN 25% original, if paid without with 30 days of the SEN, no penalty. If paid with 30 days. If the paid after the order 50% original, if paid within 30 days, an original penalty. The amount collected and tax duty had not paid recovered under section 76 of the GST, no time limit of SEN. Order should be passed within 1 year of SEN. Penalty 100%, interest 18% per annum. The date of collection till the date of payment. Time limit of payment application within 3 months from the date of order. Otherwise, recovery shall be initiated. Section 78 CGST, whether installment related, maximum 24 months. Section 80 of CGST. 5 years on the date of annual return, or 5 years on the date of errors refund. 3 years others. General provision relating to determination of tax. The state general state by the court for CGST for notice and order such as period shall be excluded from the notice and order of state. The notice issued by section 74 is not substantial in the court. The same shall be covered in section 73 notice. When the matter and remarked back to fresh education by the court of CGST, the demand shall be passed in 2 months of the date of communication of directors. Notice issued by the section 74 not sustained in court within 2 years and 9 months from the due date of annual return. The date of error is refund. The time limit to section 73. Such amount of tax ITC refund along with the interest and penalty can be redetermined under 75, which based on the notice and order passed by section 74. Be on 2 years 9 months from the date of annual return. The date of error is refund beyond the time limit. The notice on section 73. Entire process shall be dropped as a period of limitation of offences. If a notice was issued in 74 multiple financial year, such a demand order is not sustainable in court. With respect to the financial year in which time limit under section 73 satisfied, redemption can be made in order of section 75. Proper officials grant adhering to the maximum 3 times. Interest is payable even if the specific order amount is lesser than the amount of notice. In the case of self-assessment tax, liability report is GST minor 1 and not paid in GST 3B. Direct recovery without the order can be initiated in section 79. Similar issue pending in the court of proceeding CGST, HST, and that would be excluded on the due date for order. Tax wrongfully collected and paid. Intrastate treaty of intrastate paid CGST, SGST and get refund IGST. Interstate treated as intrastate pay GS, IGST and get refund CGST and get refund. Recovery of tax and penalty, self-assessment tax on non-recovered, so section 73, 25,000 IBC. Reduction from any money owned by the government, sale of goods under the control of proper officer, and Garcini process, recovery from the third party, sale of property, involved property, and arrear of land revenue of collector as a fine imposed by the magistrate through surety. A tax transfer of property to avoid any amount has been due by your house and create a favor charge and create transfer any of the property in favor of any other person with the intention of defrauding the government revenue. Such charge or transfer shall be void, and provided that such charge or transfer shall not be void if main taxable consideration in good faith and without notice of the pendency of such a proceeding under the act with the previous permission of the proper officer. Tax to be first charged in the property save on otherwise provided section YBC of 2016. Any amount payable a taxable person shall be first charged on the property of the taxable person. Provision attachment of proper protect revenue. Provision attachment of any property including bank account after intention and a proceeding under the assessment, inspection, search, seizure and arrest, demand, recovery of the period of 1 year from the date of order and the provisional attachment. Continuous validation of certain recovery under CGST Act 2016. Other provisioning. Appeal against order. Appeal authority enhance the amount. Commissioner shall serve the notice to the excess amount. An appeal order shall be passed on the excess amount without adjudicating order of excess amount. Circular 179 1914. The words of other proceedings include the government dues and CGST and consider IBC 2016. The seizure and the confiscation of goods and conveyance of transit, section 68, right to section 129 and 130. Separate provision from the recovery of tax in the case section 74 is not applicable. CBC circular section 121 and section 122. Clarification. Invoice Mr. Amor, supplier Mr. Balaji, recipient. Supply of goods or suppliers demand recovery section 73 74 cannot be initiated. Penalty levied section 121 1. Invoice date of 100% of tax involved and 100 whichever is higher. Clarification 2. Amor to supplier and invoice avail ITC BG receipt no supply of goods demand recovery section 73 74 initiated. Penalty not levied under section 121 and 73 initiated. Clarification 3. Amar invoice 2 with respect to Balaji, the ITC avail utilized. Invoice with respect to charm supplier ITC avail. So 73 not initiated, however the penalty payable 122 and invoice default. 73 74 initiated whether the 2 times the penalty payable like 72 ITC default invoice default. Section 73 74 can be initiated a penalty under section 122 not applicable in such cases. Refund under GST. Refund under GST is possible in the following cases in illustration. And the refund in IGST is paid and 0 rate as applies. Refund is unutilized ITC on the amount of 0 rate as apply in inward rate supply. The rate of GST outward is lesser than GST in rate of GST inward. Refund on account of deemed export. Refund on tax on account of wrong classification. Refund on balance electronic cash ledger. Refund on account of issuance of refund voucher. Refund on amount of provisional assessment. Refund on personal judgment and order. Refund in QNQ identification notification number holder, refund and even unregistered person. If the supplier has not issued credit note apart from the above, the refund can be claimed under the grounds of excess repayment of tax. Refund in the case of zero rated supply. In the case of export, the exporter may supply goods and services both subject to such conditions. Safeguard and procedures as may be prescribed on payment of IGST and claim refund on paid export goods service export under and refund form on payment of IGST shipping bill under the bond of LUT GST RE on payment of GST GST RFAD 01 and under the payment of bond LUT GST RFAD 01. Addition, such application shall be deemed to have been filed only when the person is charged of the conveyance carrying the export goods shall duly file the departure manifestation in the case of aircraft or export manifestation in the case of vessel or export report in the case of vehicle report and the way when this covering the number and date of the shipping bill and bill of export. The appellant is furnishing the valid return as a form GST 3B as the case may be taken. A term valid return means a return furnished in section 39(1) of the GST Act and self-assessment tax has been paid full. In case of supplies and SEC, the supplier will have the file return in the class form GSTR 01 a common portal as may be 89. 89 the GST rules so that the application of refund shall be filed by the supplier of goods after the goods has been admitted in the full or special economic zone by authorized operation and endorsed in a specific officer or authorized officer of the zone. The supplier of service along with the evidence regarding the recipient service from the authorized operations endorsed to the special officer of the zone. The proof of receipt of goods and service evidence by the specific officer of the zone and prerequisites of the filing of refund claim by the TTA supplier. Supply taxability document required options apply refund goods taxable supply goods plus export invoice on the payment of IGST refund of option is refund of IGST bill document required shipping bill plus export bill invoice option of supply under the bond LUT refund of the unutilized ITC exempted taxability documents required shipping plus supply option of supply no bond LUT is per the circular number 49/1918 refund of unutilized ITC even though exempted service taxable export invoice on the payment of IGST refund of IGST payment export invoice under the penalty refund of unutilized IGST option a service exempted bill of supply under the refund of unutilized ITC even though exempted refund of unutilized ITC maximum refund in the case of net ITC equal to 0 rate turnover by adjusted total number net ITC is equal to ITC available eligible match of ITC on import and import service during the relevant period minus ITC refund section 89(4)A and section 89(4)B 0 rate turnover equal to turnover of 0 rate supply plus goods or services turnover of 0 rate supply of goods as the value of 0 rate supply is made without payment of IGST minus supplies in respect of which refund is claimed under the section 89(4)A and rule 89(4)B deemed export is 1.5 times the value of such goods domestically supplied by way of similar supply to compare whichever is lower. Value of 0 rate supply is equal to FOB value of shipping bill of bill of export or the invoice value whichever is lower turnover of 0 rate supply of service. See value of 0 rate supply made without payment of GST is equal to payment received during the period minus advance with respect to the supply or not made during the period plus advance with respect to the supply which is made during the period was received in the prior period. Adjusted total income is equal to turnover include turnover of 0 total rate 0 rated supply of goods and 0 rated supply of services as defined minus exempted supply minus supply which is refunded claim under 89(4)A rule 89(4)B. What is a refund under 89(4)A 4B? When purchase of a registered person making 0 rated supply are treated as a deemed export then can be claimed refund of GST paid. Such inward supply is called deemed export refund as the refund of ITC should be excluded with the computed refund unutilized ITC on account of 0 rated supplies. This case to maximum refund in case of inverted tax structure net ITC is equal to turnover of inverted rate supply of goods and service by adjusted turnover minus netted ITC tax payable on the inverted rate supply of goods and service by ITC available on the input of input services equal to net ITC is equal to ITC available on input but not capital goods and input service meaning adjusted total income same above. Net ITC total inverter rate turnover goods and service by adjusted total turnover minus net ITC a total taxable inverted rate supply by total ITC input. Payable inverted payable like no, the refund of ITC not available. The following cases: export and payment of duty. No refund of unutilized input tax credit shall be allowed in the case where that goods exported out of India subject to export duty. Whether refund and unutilized ITC available if such export duty is nil rated exempted under this section. Now we have drawback, no refund of input tax will be allowed if the supplier of goods or services of both values of drawback requires and credited. Application of inward tax average structure of merchant export. Merchant export is equal to export through third parties. Sale of goods of such third party or supplier at taxable is equal to 0.1%, CGST 0.5%, SGST 0.5%, IGST 1%, such supply 1.1%. Such supply is made through third party and claim refund and utilize ITC such inward tax structure formula. The third party is available to ITC 0.1% GST paid on inward supply and through the export goods 90 days from the date of purchase of invoice only under the bond and LUT without payment of GST. Deemed goods section 147 of CGST Act 2017. The central government may, by recommendation of the council, notify certain supply of goods or supply services or deemed exports where the goods supply do not leave India and repayment of supplies are received either in Indian currency or convertible foreign exchange if such goods are manufactured in India. However, the following supplies are notified and deemed export via notification 40/2017. Supply of goods by a registered person against advance authorization. Supply of capital goods by a registered person against export promotion capital goods authority. Supply of goods by a registered person to export oriented unit. Supply of goods by a supply of gold by a bank or public sector undertaking against advance authorization. Servers are not specified under the deemed export. Benefit in case of deemed export. Option 1, supplier shall not recover GST on outward supply and pay GST utilizing ITC and get refund on the gross ITC advance ITC convert to electronic cash ledger. Option 2, supplier shall recover GST in outward supply and pay GST. Recipient shall avail ITC and claim refund of GST paid to the supplier. Recipient avail ITC even with respect of blocked ITC. In the case respect of this hours regarding the deemed export, either recipient or suppliers are allowed to be filed refund application. The supplier can seek the refund only in the case where the recipient does not allow ITC on such a supply and furnishing under the effect of supplier may be claimed refund. A refund on account of wrong classification of Rule 89(1) of CGST rules. Wrong collection. Interstate supply subsequently held by the interstate supply and vice versa. Refund of wrong duty paid upon the payment of correct duty. Refund of IGST upon the payment of CGST, SGST, vice versa. Refund application of form GST RFD 01 within 2 years from the date of payment of correct tax. Meaning and subsequent held either identified by the taxpayer or by tax officer. Note: refund of the wrong tax paid is available if the taxpayer has made tax adjustment through the issuance of credit note. Section 37. Refund is a UN holder. Section 95 CGST government. First one, the supply of service to specialized agency UN assembly consultant and supply is exempted. Second, supply is exempted. Government refund of IGST under Rule 13. Customs duty along with the IGST refund with IGST. 3, 4. Supply of goods or services embassy outward supply accepted. 5. Special agency UN assembly consultant look at India. Sale price of GST to supply outside India. Or is I think exempted totally. Outsource cover because it's not even supply. Refund then. Supply to India, then GST government refund of GST under section 95. IGST is not payable in the input of service under section 23 and outright in section 24. Refund shall be claimed on the quarter basis of form GST or RFD1 along with the statement inward supply or GST 11. The UIN recipient shall be mentioned on the tax lien issued by supplier. If it is not mentioned, then the refund available only in the copy of invoice arrested by the authentication representative of application submitted along with the refund application. Acknowledgement shall be made in the form GST RFD 01. Inward supply shall be made and received against valid tax invoices. Refund application can be filed in 2 years in the case and the tax day of quarter which has been supplied and received. Refund is not allowed in the respect of the single tax invoice when the price involved is less than excluding tax. Refund shall be passed on GST RFD 06 in 60 days from the date of application of refund. Procedural aspect application of refund form GST RFD 01 and in the case of refund to the union holder form GST RFD 10 in the case of refund of GST paid and export of goods in the shipping bill. Other authentication mandatory for filing the refund application. Acknowledgement of refund application refund GST RFD 02 within 14 days on that application. If there is any deficiency in the application, it shall be communicated in the form of form GST RFD 03. Time limit of filing the refund within 2 years from the date of relevant and while computing 2 years, the period of the date of filing refund shall till the data communication of deficiency shall be excluded. Time limit of 2 years is not applicable in the case of refund excess the balance of electronic cash ledger CBAC circular relevant date. In the case of export goods, date in which goods is leave India. In the case of export service, date of recipient of payment or date of invoice, whichever say later. In the case of deemed export, date of the returns and filed by supplier, which are for refund is claimed by supplier or recipient. In the case of judgment or decree order, date of judgment, a refund of unutilized ITC account, inward transaction, due date of section 3B. In the case of supplies of SEC, due date of GS 3B. In the case of provisional assessment, date of taxes of final assess, refund claimed by recipient, date of purchase. On other cases, due to payment. Refund application file can be withdrawn before the issuance of provisional refund or the final refund order, payment order, and refund withhold an order and a clause notice. The provisional refund is possible to extend 90% of the refund claim only in the case of zero rated supplies, and the provisional refund order shall be possible to form GST RFD 04 within 7 days from the date of acknowledgement and payment under the shall form GST RFD 05. Final refund order passed in the form GST RFD 06 and payment advice shall be issued by form GST R05. The payment advice issued form GST RFT 05 need to be valued if the refund is not disputed in the same financial in which refund is awarded. In order to unregistered person, the date of issuance of letter of cancellation of the contract and agreement of supply by the supplier in the time of recipient or the receipt of services by application withholding refund. If there is any outstanding demand against the person of whom the refund is payable, then the proper officer shall pass an order of withhold refund. Where the proper officer comments in satisfaction that the refund is no longer liable to withhold, he may pass an order release the refund under claim. The proper officer requires the first pass an order in releasing the withhold refund and pass a refund option. Refund subject to unjust enrichment. Refund subject to condition there is no unjust enrichment. Refund shall be granted if the registered person fails to prove that burden is not transferred to the recipient. They ensure that there is no unjust enrichment. Declaration of registered person required if the amount of refund is less than 2 lakhs, then such amount of refund is greater than 2 lakhs. Certificate of CACM required and filed. Note if the declaration of certification or submitted, refund application cannot be filed and such amount shall be credited to customer welfare fund. Declaration declaration of certification not required in the following cases if the refund is greater than 2 lakhs. Refund of IGST paid on export of goods and service not required for C certificate. Refund of unutilized ITC in the case of zero rated and converted tax is not required. Refund arising on the account of refund voucher not required. Refund of account of wrong classification of supply not required. Refund excess of balance in e-cash ledger not required. Refund claimed by the unregistered person not required. Consumer welfare fund section 57-58. If an applicant fails to prove that there is no unjust enrichment, such a refund shall be credited to consumer welfare fund. Also, any income from investment of the amount credited to the fund is also deposited in the fund. The committee appointed the utilization of such fund. The committee shall make an availment of CBA 50% of the amount credited to the fund such a year for the publicity and consumer welfare of the GST, provided that the availability of fund of the consumer welfare activities of the Department of Consumer is greater than 25% gross per annum. Segment 20 liability to pay in special cases. Liability in case of transfer of business. Transfer plus transferee minus jointly are several liable for pre-transfer dues and liability. Section 85 and 86. Liability of agent principal. Principal plus agent jointly are several liability of the agent supplier receives on behalf of the place. Liability upon the amalgamation merger of companies. In order of amalgamation merger passes on the day of effective from the earlier date, GST dues to companies shall be treated as a discount and does not merge until the date of order. Liability is a company and liquidation. Receiver appointment shall intimate a commissioner within 30 days. Commissioner shall notify in 3 months. The commissioner is a private company. Director shall remain jointly several. Liability of director of private company. If a company or private company, all directors shall remain liable. However, in the private company is converted to public company, then director shall not be liable. Liability in case of partnership firm. The firms with partners jointly several liable. Retired for partner shall continue liable till the gives a notice of retirement of the commissioner. Such a notice shall be issued on the 1 month before the date of instrument. Liability in guardian plus trustee minor. Incapacitated person liable of dues as a minor or major or conducting persons themselves. Incapacitated person or capacity of person conducting business. Liability of court of words. Estate of taxable person under the court of control of words administration generally official trustee or any other received and managed shall be liable to pay dues. Death of person liability of original person business contribution legal representation remain liable. Business continuation. Legal representation will remain liable for the extent of real estate inherited. Achieve of partition. Achieve of AOP. The partition of assets among the members, each member should be jointly and severally liable for the dues. Partnership firm dissolved partner will be liable jointly and severally. Termination of the guardianship of trust, the guardian will be liable for the remaining period. Liability of the cases. Partnership firm achieve of EOP, business continuance, licenses continue, assessment still incomplete. Partnership firm achieve of EOP, liability. Change in constitution, partner members will be remain liable. Partnership firm achieve of EOP, dissolved partners members will be remain liable jointly and severally. Eviable. It generated movement of goods. It cannot be not applicable in case of exempted goods. It is not applicable in the value of goods. That is GST exempted supply is less than 50,000, which is not applicable to the value of goods. That is including GST, excluding exempted supply 50,000. However, in the case of job work and work is required. In case of two parts, Part A comparison of GST details of the supplier recipient document number, reason for transportation. Part B and comparisons of transport details. Validity of EV bills. Cargo and validity period. Over a dimensional cargo and a multimodal transportation. In the case of at least one leg involving transportation. Validation 1 day to every 20 kilometers apart. Therefore, 1 day for every 20 kilometers apart. Therefore, on other cases other than above 1 day for every 200 kilometers apart. Therefore, validity EV bill on the extent of 8 hours from the time of expiry. Validation counted for midday of the day and EV bill generated 8 hours. FAQ and EV bill question answer. What is EV bill? No, bill is not required. Transportation of non-motorized vehicle not required. Goods transported from the customs port and airport, air cargo, land customs station to inland container depot and container freight station clearance is not required. Goods transport under the customs supervision, customs seal not required. Transport cargo transported to from Nepal to Bhutan not required. Movement of goods from Ministry of Defence not required. Empty cargo containers being transported not required. Container transportation goods to and from between place of weight bridge from the weight and distance of 20 km document of the which are not required. Goods being transported by rail where consignor of the goods in the central government, state government, or local authority. Goods specified exempted of EV bills and requirement in the respective state union territory rules. The transport of certain specific goods. LPG of supply to household and non-domestic exempted category customers other than dealer of circular. Kerosene oil not required. Public distribution not required. Post and package not required. Natural cultural pearls not required. Jewelry, goldsmith or silversmith waste other than intimation jewelry used personal household effect. Certain specific for that EV bills not required. Other EV bill movement required in the movement of goods and not available. Yes, irrespective of whether the involved supplies or not. Whether the 50,000 limit is or taxable goods or exempted goods. Taxable goods, if the values both taxable and exempted goods need to be considered in the invoice of value of taxable goods. The other computing the invoice value, whether GST is included or included. Who will generate e-waybill? The registered person. E-waybill must be generated where the moment of goods are more than 50,000 value from registered person. Unregistered person. Unregistered persons are person generate e-waybill. However, the supply is made by the unregistered person. Through the registered person, the receiver will have to ensure that all the companies met to the display. Transporter and carry out the goods by road and rails and which generate e-waybill, and if the supplier has not generated e-waybill, the transportation is required to generate if the supplier has generated because of the investment. Transporter should generate a UA bill as one of the EWB1 and EWGB where all the consignment is conveyanced individually, that is each invoice delivered challan less than equal to 50,000 but aggregate value of documents put together exceed 50,000. Blocking EV bill. The EV bill cannot be generated if return of GST or 1 GST 3B CMT is not paid next to consecutive on the two variable generated facility is blocked only in respect of the outward movement of supply by the registered person who is not filed a return on the EV account. However, EV bill can be generated in respect of the inward supply of the registered person. Other point, in the case of bill to ship to transaction, EV bill is insufficient. It can be generated either by consigning multi-bill vehicle updation possible in EV bill. Point B should be updated within 15 days from the day updation of YTA. EV bill should be accepted by the recipient within 72 hours on the generation and delivery of the goods, whichever is earlier. Part B may be updated by the supplier, recipient, or transporter. Moment of goods taxable, exempted taxable under supply, the e-waybill plus e tax invoice by e-waybill without supply, delivery challan to the e-waybill under the supply, bill of supply without supply, delivery challan is enough. Under GST exempted goods, anti-profiting, a supplier of goods and service must pass on any reduction rate of tax on beneficial of ITC consumer by commensurate the reduction prices. If this is not being done, consumer interest is protected by Competitive Commission of India. Such authority shall discharge the following action: reduction in prices, imposition of penalty 10% of profiting amount, and returning the amount not passed along with the interest 18% recipient. Cancellation of registration. Effect of the consumer may file an application respective format before the Director General of Anti-Profiting will be forward to the report of Competition Commission of India. GST practitioner. Role of GST practitioner: apply registration, file a GST return form, apply refund and make refund by authorized representative, furnish information for generating e-waybill, furnish the details of challans and form GST or ITC 04, and that is good dispatches are received from the job work, file the application from the amendment or cancellation of unique registered enrollment number, and apply the following value added notification: furnish information and generated e-waybill, furnish details of challan form GST 1 IDC 04 goods and sent and received from the rubber, file an application of amendment and cancellation of enrollment under the section of Rule 55 file an intimation of pay the tax under the compulsion scheme and withdraw from the said scheme. Eligible conditions: citizen of India, person of sound mind, not registered or insolvent, not having convicted by the competent court, offences with imprisonment not less than 2 years. Responsibility for correctness participant: the responsibility of correctness of any particulars furnished in the return or other details filed by GST practitioner shall continue to rest with the GST person, the registered person, and hold behalf such a return and detail are furnished. Any statement furnished by GST practitioner shall be made available to the registered person on the GST common portal. For every statement furnished by GST practitioner, confirmation shall be sought from the registered person over the email SMS. Registered person, before confirming, shall ensure that the fact mentioned in the returns are true and correct. However, the failure to respond to the request of the confirmation shall be treated as however deemed confirmation. GST practitioner shall prepare all the statements with the due diligence and affix the digital signature on the statement prepared by him and electronically verify using his credentials. If GST practice is found guilty of misconduct, his enrollment will be liable for cancellation and show cause notice will be issued and him to the GST PTC 03.